Hey, my name is Mike, and I've been playing World of Warcraft for almost 10 years, and in that time I've accumulated a little bit of knowledge about the game, so I'd like to share some of that with you. In this video, I'll be talking about dungeons. At level 15, you unlock the Dungeon Finder, which allows you to queue up for dungeons. Dungeons, or instances as they're sometimes called, are areas that house a lot of elites and bosses and above average loot. You can queue up for a specific dungeon or pick a random one by yourself or with a group of up to 5 people. Once you've made a decision, you can queue up and the game will automatically try to place you in a group. Keep in mind that based on what you're doing, when you're doing it, and what role you're playing, your queue time may be short like 30 seconds, or it can be long like 45 minutes. To see your queue time, just hover over the eye that's on your minimap. Every couple of levels you'll unlock a new dungeon and you'll stop being able to queue up for lower level dungeons. Some dungeons, specifically those that were introduced in expansions, have harder difficulties that you can do for better loot. Generally you'll be doing these harder difficulties at max level for gear, but you can definitely still do heroics, for example, starting at level 70. There will be an additional section of dungeons you can queue up for once you've reached a level high enough to do heroics. Heroic dungeons have had everything upscaled to the maximum level at the time. For example, Hellfire Ramparts is an entry-level dungeon for Outland with low level 60 mobs. However, in Heroic, all the mobs are level 70 as that was a level cap at the time. Mythic difficulty was introduced with level 100 dungeons and is a step up from Heroics. The mobs are even more powerful and drop better loot. Challenge modes are dungeons for players who enjoy a challenge. To start a challenge mode, you need to obtain a keystone from somewhere like a world objective. As you level up your keystone by doing challenge modes, you can do challenges that get harder and harder. For example, you can have a dungeon where all the enemies will get stronger and more deadly upon reaching 30% health, or you have a dot on you the entire time you're in that dungeon. At the end of the week, you're rewarded for how well you performed in challenge modes. These add a replayability to dungeons and can serve as an alternative to raiding for some players. In the past, challenge modes were time-based and you tried to get either bronze, silver, or gold. These challenges didn't have the same modifiers to mobs as the challenge modes of Legion though. For these dungeons, you have to actually walk to them in the world, which I'll talk about shortly. Generally, a dungeon will consist of 5 people and 3 roles. You'll have one tank who is the meat shield. They will hold aggro on the mobs and ensure no one else is getting attacked. They have large health pools and defensive abilities amongst their other abilities that make them less likely to die. You'll have one healer who keeps the tank alive and anyone else who takes damage. Healers are constantly looking at health bars and like a tank have a lot of multitasking to do. And you'll have 3 damage dealers. Ideally, the structure of a dungeon is that the tank will engage in combat and maintain his threat on everything. The damage dealers will do what they do, and the healer will ensure that the group doesn't die. You can enter any dungeon around your level or lower manually. Every dungeon has a portal for it somewhere in the world. Walking through that portal will load that dungeon for you. To change the dungeon difficulty when you're manually entering a dungeon, you just right-click your character's portrait and go to dungeon difficulty. You can only manually enter 10 instances per hour. Exceeding this rate will give you an error message and you'll have to wait. This error is account-wide. You can also only do heroic difficulty dungeons once per day unless you do them through the random dungeon option. If you're farming a dungeon for a mount, for example, you can clear up to where you need to go and then run out of the dungeon. Once you're outside, you can right-click your portrait and click on reset all instances. At this point, you can run back in and the dungeon will be reset for you to clear again. This does not work on heroic or mythic dungeons. You can reset the trash mobs leading up to a boss, but once the boss is dead, you won't be able to reset anything up to them. If you want to see when you can run a heroic dungeon or raid again, you can open up your social tab with O, go to the raid tab and click raid info at the top. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. You can navigate through all the guides using this screen. You can also follow me on social media if you're interested. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.